So, Kemi Badenoch is once again out there questing like some sort of D&D paladin in the quest to appease her Brexit gods to fulfill her oath of trying to find the true and perfect response to the question, that one question which each and every Brexiteer must one day answer. Is Brexit working? Is it doing some sort of good that we can shout from the rooftops? Well, of course, no, it's not. We've discussed this, I don't know how many times. If there was a Brexit benefit, and I'm deadly serious about this, if there was an actual Brexit benefit, no matter how minuscule, we would be hearing about it non-stop from Brexiteers like Kemi Badenoch, Jacob Rees-Mogg, and etc., and so on and so on. So this has really culminated in something and showing her acts of desperation. Because her department, the Department for Business and International Trade, as it now is been putting out almost constantly surveys, constant surveys, just asking questions about business. And we covered just one, like just recently, asking questions: is Brexit good? Is Brexit working? Are you having these is it good? Because they want to show some sort of Brexit benefit, and especially Kemi Badenoch. So why is she so desperate to do this? Why is she desperately clinging on to this? Well, as we once discussed a long time ago with Theresa May was handed the poison chalice that was Brexit. And, look what happened to Theresa May and her time when she was Prime Minister. Well, the true recipient now for all of Brexit's claims and its most vaunted benefits, the one that Brexiteers love to talk about, of course, was trade and the benefits it would have for business. So Kemi Badenoch has been handed that poison chalice. And now, if Brexit fails or succeeds, well, it's all on her. It's all on her. It's not Rishi Sunak. And trust me, Rishi Sunak, if there was a Brexit benefit, he will be talking about it. But it's all on Kemi Badenoch now. So we're going to be talking about, first of all, how she came into this position and why she is so desperate to do this. What is causing her to, waste time putting out surveys which are completely ludicrous, asking questions to, the answer which they already know, that Brexit isn't working, that businesses are not happy. I mean, the last one we covered was about businesses being asked, what do you think to those new trade deals we signed? And it was very clear from businesses, we're not going to see any benefit from them. And you wonder why that one was kept so under wraps. But this one, only from what I can tell, appeared in the Sun somewhat briefly. But we'll be going over this in a moment, but it ain't good. It ain't good for Kemi Badenoch, especially if she wants to try and prove her Brexit credential. So before we go, continuing on into why Badenoch is doing this and her quest for Brexit benefits, please do remember me. Please do remember to click on the like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below there are links to help support the channel, the Patreon page, the Buy Me Coffee link, the YouTube thank you button, and of course the Patreon page as well. So thank you very much to everyone who does help and support the channel that way. So let's crack on into this and ask the question, first of all, how did Kemi Badenoch come to be in this situation? Well, you may remember back under Theresa May, this whole department of handling Brexit was very much farmed out to individual ministers. Of course, we had DEXU, the Department for Exiting the European Union, with David Davis being the first person in charge of it. Then you had the office, or at least international trade, did rest under the business remit. That was taken out of it and made its own minister. And of course, Liz Truss had that position for quite a long time. And then, of course, along came Boris Johnson, who made the position of Brexit benefits, which Jacob Rees-Mogg himself decided to go on some sort of quest for his own Brexit holy grail by asking the readers of The Sun to name Brexit benefits. And I don't even think there was a follow-up to that. I think he was somehow expecting that there would be a flood of emails, letters into his office that he could go, oh my word, look, I'm being swamped by all this Brexit positivity. Look at all these opportunities. And of course, that never happened. Indeed, it became incredibly embarrassing for the government. And one of the first things Rishi Sunak did was not only did he dismantle the Department for Brexit Opportunities and gave that to Kemi Badenoch, but he also took away the individual ministership for international trade and put it back into business. And who came into that position? Well, now it was Kemi Badenoch. And now she has the Brexit poison chalice. And it is, as everyone who has drunk from it so far, not having very good effects. So why is she desperate to try and prove a Brexit benefit? Well, partly because she is being cast like, well, all these other rising stars in the Conservative Party as someone who could be the next leader of the Tory party. And certainly when she was put forward back under the previous leadership contest, she came fourth, I believe. Very much a struggle between her and Penny Mordaunt to see who would continue in that position. But she was obviously had the backing of Michael Gove. That's who he nominated. She worked under him in the Levelling Up department as a junior minister. So overall, she doesn't really have a lot of high-level ministerial positions, and she's only really had one low-level ministerial position. That was, of course, working with Michael Gove in the Department for Levelling Up, and she's hardly known for anything being really overly successful, just like every other one of these rising Conservative stars, plucked out of obscurity, put into very high positions, expected to, wow the crowd. But if anything, well, shall we say, everyone's expecting a big bang and is very disappointed when, well, it's a minuscule pop in this case. And that is why she is there. Because a couple of weeks ago, you may remember, she had a big confrontation with Brexiteers. And they were saying to her, look, you need to have this bonfire of EU regulations. You need to get rid of this all. And Badenoch fought back and said, no, I'm not going to be an arsonist. And you may remember after that Brexiteers came out and said, if she ever wants to be leader, she's lost it because she's lost the support of that section of the party. So that getting her Brexit credentials back and trying to prove a Brexit benefit is partly why, because she has her eyes on the future of the leadership. She wants to be there. She wants to be leader. And if she doesn't have that party's backing, which ultimately I think Suella Braverman probably has a better chance of securing that backing than her in any potential future leadership contest, she's got a lot to do. But not only that, we have seen time and time again in select committees, in Parliament, that when she gets scrutinized, she does not like it and has had some very, very negative reactions. And a lot of people have said that if that's how she's acting now, how would she react if she was the Prime Minister when she would be constantly under the light of scrutiny? So that is something else, but that's sort of a separate issue, but that's putting more people off her. So she needs to secure these Brexit credentials. So she's put out this new survey asking people, or at least say asking the British public, what do they think to these new free trade agreements? And it turns out, not shockingly, that 67% of the British public support the country signing free trade agreements with countries uh, outside the EU. Only support the country signing free trade agreements with countries outside the EU. Only 4% of the public say that they opposed non-EU free trade agreements. So essentially what she was really asking in this question was, do you support the government trying to generate more wealth or not? That's what she was asking. And of course, if you're a member of the British public, of course you're going to say, yeah, we want the country to generate more wealth. I think that's a pretty standard question. But this was hardly a Brexit win, because later on they asked the question, what do you know about Mercosur? And if you've never heard of that before, neither did I until I looked it up. But it's actually the name for the trading bloc of Argentina, Brazil, Uruguay, well, not Venezuela because they've had their membership suspended currently. But most of those South American countries in a trade bloc. Do you want the UK to do a trade deal with that trade bloc? Ultimately, anyone is going to say, yes, do a trade deal. But of course, as we've talked about before, the devil is in the details of these trade deals. The Australian trade deal wasn't very good. The New Zealand trade deal wasn't very good. And of course, you've got the Pacific Partnership deal, which is awful. And we've talked about that plenty of times in the past. But with this, Kemi Badenoch trying to show that, oh my word, look, the British public support our trade standpoint. Probably until you realize, of course, that the last survey they released asking businesses saying, oh yeah, what do you think to the current free trade agreements we've signed? Businesses weren't exactly enthused with those trade agreements. So this is Kemi Badenoch's never-ending quest to try and not only prove her Brexit credentials, try and win back the trust of the Brexiteers to vote for her in a potential future leadership contest, but also eventually to try and win her the future leadership. Because if she can come out and say, look at how a good job I did as the business secretary in international trade. Look how fantastic I was. Don't I deserve the office of prime minister one day? That's going to be her pitch. That is going to be absolutely her pitch. And to be honest, Kemi Badenoch is hardly wowing anyone in this position. Hardly. And we reported on that before, that she's not, should we say, inspiring confidence. We'll see if she holds on to a position. Like I say, there is a rumored cabinet reshuffle potentially incoming. We'll see what happens if she gets to maintain her position. But of course, we'll bring you that action when that happens. But just like Kemi Badenoch, she's desperately seeking any good Brexit benefits, and it doesn't seem to, well, be really finding anything. If anything, she's wasting taxpayers' money asking the British public, stupid questions of, do you want to sign non-EU free trade agreements? Yeah. Of course we do. But, and I always stress this, but the devil is in the detail. It's what exactly are you going to sign away? What are you going to do in this deal? Because we've already seen the current so far deals that the British government has been desperate to sign, because again, Brexit was all about trade, apparently. They haven't really been wowing anyone. And if anything, pretty soon when these trade agreements really kick in, and start to, well, not show any benefit, that's when the British public's going to realize, this isn't good. And when the farmers start kicking off about the New Zealand and Australia trade deal, and even the Pacific Partnership deal, potentially as well. Because remember, George Eustace still sitting on and for apparently fomenting this farmers' rebellion. If that is still something that we were hearing rumors about, that this is what he was doing, we'll see what happens there. But it's going to be an interesting summer as always. Or at least, shall we say, a return in September to see what happens. So, as always, thank you very much for watching. And of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.